In Conversation with Terry Shepard, award-winning broadcaster, narrator, and author. A deep dive into the writer's craft with the artists and support systems who create the stories we love.
Thanks, Lisa. Today, I am thrilled to welcome a return guest, a writer who knows how to blend mystery, humor, and a true love for Wisconsin life into a perfect literary cocktail. Ann Ribar has the knack for crafting stories that transport readers into charming small towns filled with quirky characters, delicious food, and, of course, intriguing whodunits. Joy grew up in Wisconsin, where winter is practically a way of life. The Friday fish fry is sacred. The grilling of brats is a sport. Her love for the Badger State shines through in her writing, from her Deep Lake mystery series to her latest Bay Browning mystery installment, Shakespeared in the Park. With a background in journalism, education, and a resume that includes everything from paralegal work to Christmas tree sharing, Joy brings a wealth of real-life experience to her storytelling. Ann Ribar, welcome back to the conversation.
Thank you for having me, Terry. I'm excited to be here. It's fun to talk with you.
What inspired the Shakespearean theme for Shakespeared in the Park?
Oh, well, as a former English educator and now retired English educator, I just realized how much I missed having talks with my students and how much I missed teaching this material. I loved bringing Shakespeare alive in the classroom. We always read the plays aloud because that's the only way to do it, really. Otherwise, students will never get it. And I just thought, wow, I can bring Shakespeare maybe to other readers who are maybe, oh, Shakespeare, no way. But I wanted to bring it to them in a new way and in a fun way and an approachable way. And I was excited to do it.
Well, theater productions are full of drama on and off stage. How did you develop the idea of using a summer play as the setting for a mystery?
Well, I have my own community theater background. I love being on stage. So I think it's just great fun to put on a different persona and to be somebody who you aren't. And I worked with quite a number of theater productions. And my husband was doing a Shakespeare in the Park production himself. And of course, I've been to several of them. The summer Shakespeare productions that are done in the park are so much fun. It's always something I look forward to and really brings the story to life. So it was easy to bring that in. It was easy to have Bay Browning, who's already a lit professor at a small college, be part of a summer theater production. It seemed like a great setting to have crime taking place because, Shakespeare is often full of death.
Well, and Bay and Jen are such a dynamic duo. They're just so much fun to read about. What's their dynamic like in this book?
Yeah, I think so. In this book, Jen is a art history person, but she's also an artist. So she comes in and decides, well, I'll do volunteer hours and get my volunteer hours in for college by working on this production with my friend Bay. Bay's going to be a director and Jen's going to be a set person. She's going to paint scenes and then she's going to hang out. But, she is she's a very snarky character. So she drags Bay along, I think, as a person who is a reluctant sleuth. Bay isn't really the person that wants to jump up and down and say, oh, involve me in solving a crime. But Jen is. Jen's like, whoa, hey, we did this last time I worked with you. Come on, let's go. Let's investigate. Let's make trouble.
You made Bay's sister Cassandra emerge as a significant player in this book. What can you tell us about her and how she shakes things up without giving away too many spoilers?
Yeah. In the first book, Cassandra arrives fresh from prison as an ex-con, and she's on her sister's doorstep, and they do not really see eye to eye. They've been estranged. So I wanted to really work on showing really good. I'm hoping that they have really good character arcs and really showing the evolution of themselves as characters and separately, but also how their relationship evolves and their bond is kind of starting to glue back together. But now Cassandra has gotten a new job, and she's working for Posey Hollingsworth, who is definitely one of the social upper crust of this small town of Prairie Ridge. She's part of the founding families. So with Cass landing this position, now she has like an inroad with the social elite. And this story definitely evolves around problems that the social classes have based on past history, based on the fact that so many of them are going to Bay's college. So a lot of them are part of Bay's class. A lot of them are part of this Shakespeare production. And so there's the intersection of Cass's new world in her work life and Bay's work-like world in this Shakespeare production. And they definitely merge together.
Ann Ribar is our guest. We're talking about Shakespeare in the Park, her latest and greatest. Her website is Joy, R-I-B-A-R, Joy Ribar. I am amazed at how you can continue to craft such interesting and complex mysteries. How do you do it?
Wow. I don't know. That's like asking somebody, how did you learn to ride a bike? I think I love it. I love it for starters. I let the characters talk to me in my head, and I let them guide me along. I've read a ton of great books. I think that if you're reading great material, you're inspired to create better stories. And I honestly think that it's just the inspiration of great things I've read in my life, and then being lucky enough to have an overactive, weird imagination. And I try to just bring a lot of my own experiences onto the page. As you just said, I've done a lot of different things in my life, and I'm right. And you have too, Terry. And that's what it takes. You do a lot of things. You have a lot of different experiences. I'm a shameless eavesdropper. As soon as I hear something going on, I might be at the market. I might be I was at Strawberry Fest. I mean, you hear something, you see something, and I go, wow, just a minute. And I just jot myself a little note to say, like, to just capture the essence of that conversation I overheard, or the essence of these people that I accidentally encounter. And, I think we do it all the time. I think we borrow from real life.
You're so good at balancing humor and suspense. How did you learn to do that?
I don't know. I love humor. I always used a lot of humor when I was teaching. It was the best way to reach high school students because they automatically don't like you. A lot of them don't. I mean, a lot of them don't want to be in school. They certainly don't want to be in English class. They probably don't want to read a Shakespeare play. And so I think you have to use humor when you're in any kind of relationship. If you want to develop rapport with people, for me, humor is my best tool. As far as suspense goes, I don't know, because I never saw myself as writing anything very suspenseful. And I know that there's a knack for it. And I know that there's people who know how to follow a plot scheme and an arc, and they have an outline, and they just know how to piece that together. And I sit at the keyboard and I just pound it out.
You just let it flow.
I do.
How has your writing process evolved over the course of the series?
I think I can get a lot more done in a shorter amount of time, which I guess I never expected that would happen. Also, I say I write by the seat of my pants, but if I wake up or in the middle of the night and I have a scene in my head that just I don't know where do these things come from? It's because we're sleeping and our brain, our little part of that brain is still awake. And so I write it down immediately. So I'll jot down like a nugget. And so it's nice because I realized that you can take those and you really can build a whole chapter around it. And so I think that's something creative that has evolved within me. And maybe it's just the amount of time you spend sitting and writing that does it. There was Malcolm Gladwell. He wrote Outliers, and he said everything is about 10,000 hours of practice. You want to be great at piano? 10,000 hours of practice. You want to be a good writer? 10,000 hours of practice. So I hear that in my head and think, yeah, I mean, practice is what makes you better.
Well, another dimension I like of your stories is the food and the wine that seems to appear in them with regularity. Do you actually test drive some of those recipes in vineyards?
Yes, to both. I love to experiment with new recipes. My husband and I have eclectic palates. We will eat and try any kind of food from any kind of culture, no matter how new it is or how strange it might seem. And so, yes. So then if I find a recipe that I like, I will just play with it. It almost never comes out as the recipe I started with. And those recipes show up in my other series, my Deep Lake series. They all have recipes in them because I do like to experiment and play with recipes. I've been to a lot of vineyards, the largest amount of them in Wisconsin, although I've been also into Michigan and into New York, where there's just beautiful vineyards out there too. And so when I go to a vineyard, I'm a student. Not only do I want to do a wine tasting, but I want to know, what grapes are you growing? What's the difference between this grape and this grape? How come this grape goes so well here, but we can't grow it in Wisconsin? Who picks your grapes? How do you harvest them? And I've actually done that. I've actually harvested grapes at a vineyard. I've actually helped make wine. I mean, if I'm going to write about it, I kind of dive deep sometimes, maybe down the rabbit hole. But that's what's fun, because I think that we never quit learning, and I'm always going to be a student.
We're in conversation with Joy Ribar. Her latest is Shakespeare in the Park. Joy, RIBAR.com is her website. When I think about vineyards and picking grapes and preparing them for wine, I always think about that I Love Lucy scene where she was in the thing with her bare feet, stomping the grapes. Have you ever done that?
I have. There was a small vineyard in Wisconsin, in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and they had, on their harvest weekend, they had a grape stomping contest. So we went with two other couples, and the women got to have a grape stomping team. So it was us three women stomping away. It ended up on the front page of the little Sheboygan Crescent newspaper. It was such a good time. It was so much fun.
Everything you write is a love letter to Wisconsin. What is it about that state, for people who don't know, it is so magical?
Oh, well, it is really a place where I feel at home. And I also believe that when people visit Wisconsin, they feel at home. I think that a lot of Wisconsinites, very much like other Midwesterners, are the kind of people who are just salt of the earth. They want you to feel welcome. They want you to fall in love with their state. They offer you, like, here's the best restaurant to go to for the best fish fry. Here are places that you should see that aren't in the tourist book. Here's a place where you can go fishing and catch fish. I mean, just willing to kind of just take people under our wing and make friends with them. And there's so much beauty. I love four seasons. There are some people who really, who don't. There are a lot of people who don't love winter, but I'm here to tell you that once you survive winter, then you feel like those other seasons are such a gift.
Well, you adjust, right? I mean, you just put on another layer and you go out and do what you need to do.
You do. You absolutely do. And you figure out a way to stay warm out there, whether it's shoveling snow, which it often is, or if you like to cross country ski or ice skate or ice fishing. I mean, there are things to do all winter long. I know people would say, how boring, but it's like, no, because when you live in a state like that with snow, everyone figures out a way to make that into the playground.
I remember that you read and score AP English literature essays for fun.
For fun.
What makes that fun?
Well, seeing what students will produce about a piece of literature and realizing that they're only 17 or 18 years old and how are they dealing with this particular piece of literature, and you can just marvel at the ideas that they come up with and discuss. That's one thing. Another thing is that you have good company. You're in the company of all other English teachers from all over the country and sometimes other places in the world, because they will bring in people from other countries too. So you get to you're meeting your people, your kindred spirits, right? You're all English educators. You're all geeking out over the passage the students are writing about or the book they're writing about. And so you just have a lot of fun. You have a lot of fun sharing those conversations and just feeling like this is such a cool thing that these 17 and 18-year-olds will be able to write an essay that you feel like you had a little part of it. Even if you weren't their teacher, you know that their teacher and you have the commonality of wanting to bring that passion to the students and make them better and make them smarter and make them writers. It's wonderful.
Have any of your former students encountered your work and given you feedback?
Yes, many, many, many. I am very blessed to be in touch with so many of my former students. I have students who, they're following me. They show up at my book events, sometimes just out of the blue, and I didn't know they were coming. And when I in writing this series, this is really cool because I've had students show up at my events and say, there's a lot of Easter eggs in there, Mrs. Ribar, that are only meant for us, that only we're going to understand. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool that's what they're seeing in these books I'm writing is like a nod to what we've done in a classroom in the past.
How do we inspire younger people to get involved in this beautiful craft?
I think some of the cool things that are happening is a lot of the libraries will have authors come in and do some writing workshops. I've gone and done a couple of writing workshops with younger students and at schools when I've had a teacher ask me to come in, and I said, of course I'll come in. And I think so many authors are very giving of their time that they are willing to do that at a library or at a school. And it's amazing to me because I walk in the door and I feel like I'm just teacher joy, whereas they're like, author, you are an author, you have a book, and to still see that kind of excitement coming out of kids, from age 10 to age 18. I love it. I love the fact that they're still in awe of a book with a cover and words. So I think we just have to cultivate their creativity. We have to help them in any way we can to nurture that. And when I still have people who contact me. I have high school students who will contact me and say, hey, can I do an interview with you? It's for my class. Yeah, I know. Exciting. Yes. Really thrilling. So I'm glad that there's still teachers out there who are saying, hey, why don't you try to connect with an author and do an interview? And then they'll email me and they'll say, well, I might be interested in writing something. What should I do? Where should I go? And I try to connect them with a writing group or a writing association. Even like in Wisconsin, we have Wisconsin Writers Association. I'm pretty sure they have a youth division. So it takes a little investigation to help steer kids, but I think authors can steer kids. I hope teachers are still steering kids and to just cultivate their creativity, even if it's keep a journal. That's where I started. Kept a journal when I was 12.
That was just an assignment in our AP English class in high school. We had to write in our journals for the first half of the class hour every day of the week. It's very powerful.
It is. And it can really make that love connection, I think, between what you feel in here and what you write down on a page.
So if you were going to teach me how to do a writer workshop for a class in a high school as an author, what would be some of the components you would include?
Well, I would start off with some writing prompts and something, and of course, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of one, but I have, well, like today, happy first day of spring. So I might start off on a day like today and say, what are your favorite things about spring? You can start by, you can make a list, you can write a paragraph, whatever you want to do. And then we will probably go around and, we're not going to share right away because, that's so scary. But we might do some round robin writing where I break them off then into groups and say, oh, look, and here's some people who weren't afraid to share, what spring means to them. And then now I've got 5 topics of that we could write about. And now I can put people in like groups of 4 and they can start writing a story together based on their topic. And then maybe by the end they feel like, okay, look, I can share this because we're all going to share it.
There is a perception that the author population is aging, and I worry how the writing torch may or may not be passed to the next generation.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that so many people, me included, I had probably 5 books out and still felt like I wasn't an author, like not a real author. Am I on the New York Times bestselling list? And just trying to change the mindset of anyone can be a real author. You don't have to be on somebody's list or somebody's award-winning prize-winning award for your work to still be an author. And so to kind of get past that and get out of your own way is important. But I also think it would be great if there was some sort of something out there where people who are our age or even a little older than us could mentor in some of these younger people who feel like they have something to write but don't know where to begin, because that was how I felt. I didn't know what to do. I started writing. I had a manuscript and then I didn't know what to do with it. And I think that's critical, is to know what is next now that I've written this and how, and if I don't want to go down the traditional road, how do I become this self-published person?
On that same topic, what is next for Brave Browning?
Ooh, I'm already writing the next one in the series. It is called Poetry Slammed. And it's, and one of the things that features into it is a poetry slam event, and that doesn't turn out too well. But so that will then focus on poetry. There's a couple little loose ends in Shakespeare in the Park, and Cass will be continuing to try to uncover Posey, her boss's secrets, because she has a secret past. So she's going to be continuing to work in that vein. And of course, once again, whatever's happening with Poetry Slammed, in that case, they and Cass will end up crossing. There's always like a merging and a crossing over of puzzle pieces that have to fit together, and they're each going to bring a piece of that puzzle. So, I'm having a good time with that one.
And when will we be able to read it?
Late fall or January.
Shakespeare in the Park is our featured work on this program, written by our special guest, Joy Ann Ribar. JoyRibar.com is the website, and you can find it wherever cool books are sold. Joy, it's great to see you again. Thanks so much for the conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for taking time. Thanks for giving me airspace. Thanks for a great conversation. I love talking to you. I never know people who watch this. Terry doesn't give you anything ahead of time. You have no idea what questions are going to come your way. So if you think any of this is rehearsed, no.
In Conversation with Terry Shepard is a copyrighted presentation. All rights reserved. I'm Lisa Davis. Join Terry Shepard next time in Conversation.